me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check. Can I get a heat check, heat check, 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 heat 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 check. Let me get a heat check.
Hi everybody, welcome to SML Heat Check with Fazz and MadBomber. This is a new show that we put together. We wanted to change up weekend roundup a little bit. We wanted to give a good way for everybody to kind of stay in tune with what's going on around the league. I know for certain people it might be difficult to get in streams consistently. I know for me it's tough sometimes to see how the other divisions, how the other conferences are doing. So we wanted to kind of give a show where we could go over what's happened the last three advances in the league, give everybody a good picture of where the other teams are at, where the divisions are at, playoff battles, etc. And then kind of capping things off with some head-to-head pick-em picks, and then our top 7 power rankings for each conference. Again, I'm joined by Bomber. I'll be covering the AFC. He'll be covering the NFC. Bomber, man, what's going on? How you doing?
Oh, I'm excited for this. Like I said, weekend roundup felt like it was getting a little stale, so I'm excited to see where Heat Check goes, and hopefully it's going to evolve as we go through the season. This should be probably our most basic episode, and then kind of grow from there. So I'm excited for this.
Yeah, man, for sure. Gotta plant the seed early, see what happens. But I think it's going to be a good thing. Get kind of everybody involved, and everybody will have a place in the show, which I'm excited for. So,
all right, so let's jump right into it then, and we'll start, since this is going to kind of pick up where weekend roundup left off. Let's jump into week 11, and we'll just kind of go through the games here. Week 11 was a big game. You had the 49ers and the Cardinals. I don't know if you were able to catch any of that, but that was an 11-14 game. We had the Bears and the Packers. Packers ended up winning, 38-21. The Chargers fell to the Patriots, 17-14. Matt, the new owner of the Patriots, looks to be pretty good. I don't know if you've gotten to play him yet. I haven't got him yet. He's up next on my schedule.
Yeah, I have not played him either. I did catch a good bit of his stream against Prime, and he really did look solid. So I'm excited to see more of his games in the future here.
Yeah, I don't know how excited I am because I'm going to need to win one of these next 2 games to make the playoffs, but we'll find out next week how he does.
For sure.
Then we had Future went up against ZZ, and that was a 28-26 win for Future, who looks like he's starting to come on at 9-4. I took on the Jets 45-0. The Jets not really that impressive this season. The Browns beat the Lions 45-10. And then we had the Buccaneers took on the Saints 48-38. Dookie talks a lot in chat, and giving up 38 to the Saints, who really, you weren't here last cycle, but Colt wasn't exactly blowing everybody out or even competitive a lot of times. So I'm interested to see how Dookie does when he plays somebody a little more like the Vikings. But what do you think about Dookie?
I've heard that Vikings guy might be a bit overrated through the rumor mill. Yeah, I haven't gotten to catch too many of Dookie's streams. The book that I've kind of heard on him is that obviously defense a bit of a work in progress, as it is for a lot of teams this Madden. And his offense scores fast. But that sounds to me like one of those teams that maybe if you can limit the big plays, you can bait some mistakes and then just kind of impose your will on offense, and that can really mess some teams up in this game specifically. So definitely interested to see how Dookie does going forward against elite tier competition, or
Yeah, I think we'll get our first view of that when he faces Paulie this coming week. That should be a good litmus test of that. But then we had the Colts taking on the Seahawks, and he only beats Tiny by 2 points, 19-17, which makes me feel bad about getting beat by Prime. I don't know how Tiny kept it that close, but he did.
It was an entertaining stream, though. I'll give Prime that.
It was entertaining. We had the Bengals. They got one of their wins coming up against the Steelers, who right now pretty much everyone beats. The Bills.
Steelers are in a tough spot. Yeah,
they are. KJ's trying. He's got one win right now. The Bills and Noel finally got a win over the Texans. That moved them to they're 4-9 now. Rams and RD 34-3 over the Titans, who I just got beat by. RD looks like he could be something to worry about in the West or in the NFC.
Yeah, that one's going to come down to, from everything I can see in the stats, is can you stop Cam Akers? And to this point, the answer for most teams has been no.
Yeah, right now I think he's leading the league in rushing, and he's also got a dev game coming up this week. So it'll be interesting to see how he does with that. And it's against the Texans.
The NFC is certainly hoping that he does not get it.
Oh, yeah. I'll bet you are. Dolphins took on the Broncos. Broncos won 21-14. That was actually a pretty good game. You had two playoff teams there. Cowboys 23-17 over the Falcons. Giants 31-10 over Washington. I don't even know if Washington played or if there's anybody even controlling that team anymore. Panthers, same thing. Panthers won, so Royce must have actually played this game. 38-17 over the Eagles. Eagles, one win. What do you think about the Eagles and one win all season?
The Eagles are a team that I feel is very solid for season one, and then things go downhill very fast. It's an old offensive line. It's an old defensive line. You don't have any cap space to do next to anything. Wentz is one of those quarterbacks in the game that just like will throw the ball to no one for no reason. So, that's a tough team to have going forward past like season one in Madden franchises here.
Yeah, he definitely dropped off quick. And then the last game of Week 11 was the Vikings. It looks like you took on the Ravens and 52-21 is not too shabby.
It was a weird game. We had some DC issues, which obviously then always makes things a little funky. It was a weird, just things were. I don't even know how to describe that game. It just felt like chaos from all sides.
Well, it worked out in your favor, so that's not too bad.
Yeah, I can't complain.
Then we had Week 12, Chargers Browns. Browns ended up winning 31-28. I can't really make out this new Chargers owner, Death Wish. He seems like he could be pretty good. I mean, 38-21 losing to the Browns. The Browns are pretty good, so that's not too bad. But he's got a really good Chargers squad, so I expect a little more.
Yeah, Chargers roster, obviously very talented. QB left them in a good spot. New owner kind of coming into the league, feeling out the team, is feeling out his competition. Might be a scenario where, as he starts to figure out some tendencies, as he starts to get a little more comfortable, maybe settles in a little bit. But there's definitely potential there.
Yeah, I think he could make the AFC West one of the better divisions again. We'll see how he turns out. Yeah. Cowboys took on the Eagles. Cowboys, Graham's part of his, I think, 4 games in a row that he's won, but he hasn't really played anybody good. Patriots fell to the Ravens 21-10. And then Panthers, I think Royce played this one. I don't know. 23-20 over the Saints. Bears 35-34 over the Lions. Figs is another one that really fell off after making it to the playoffs last year. He's got 4 wins.
Yeah, Figs seems to be, just based off of, watching a couple streams, based off of the chat, it seems like Figs is pressing a little bit, kind of getting away from really what seemed to kind of set him apart last season. He was being smart with the football. He was playing good defense. He's got some playmakers. It seems like he's pressing a little bit. He's angry at his quarterback situation. And when you don't have faith in your quarterback, that can really mess your game up.
I can absolutely understand that.
Yeah.
But the next game we had was the Broncos. Poor KJ had to take on the Broncos. 35-21, though. He kept it respectable. Buccaneers, 38-14 against the Bills. Colts just snuck away with one against Dump, 38-36. Dump's really fallen apart this year, though. I just watched him get just absolutely destroyed by Meats.
Yeah, Dump seems to be spiraling through games. As soon as you kind of see the message pop up in chat, you can tell that things might go downhill quick. I used to always stay in chat for all my games. I've stopped that because I will see one comment and it can do things to your mental psyche that you can't afford in games of Madden.
Yep. Then we had the Dolphins taking on the Jets. He won 35-30 over the Jets. Paulie's a guy that he won't blow guys out, but he always ends up on the winning side of the close games.
Absolutely.
And then we had the Falcons possibly playing Washington. I don't know if that was a forced win or not, but it's 31-21. Giants, Rowan, He took on the Chiefs and won 28-21. That's
The cardiac kid.
Yeah, two teams that could be in the playoffs too, or right on the fringe anyway.
Yep.
You got the Packers and Mike. He beat Tiny and his Seahawks 34-18. Raiders 42-21 over the Bengals. That's the week I lost to the Rams 20-15. Tyree Jackson's lone starting performance, or no, that's his second start. He did start against the Jets. He hasn't started since. The Titans rolled over the Texans 34-7, and then once again, Vikings are our last game for Week 12. Must be in alphabetical order, but you ended up beating Meats 23-17. That could be a matchup that we see again in the future.
Yeah, that game was sweaty. Fumble 6 at the goal line. I ended up choking away a lead. Offense kind of fell apart in the second half. Was fortunate to get a pick 6 return for a touchdown in overtime. So it wasn't the prettiest of wins, but we will certainly take it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny you win on a pick 6 because Meats has been playing really well with his secondary this year.
Mm-hmm.
So a little bit of his own medicine.
Yeah, that secondary is just fast. I was even telling Meats after the game, it's crazy to play offense against him because he takes his player and just runs him way out of the field, way out of his zone, nowhere close to where he's supposed to be. So you throw the ball there thinking that, oh, this is going to be open. And one of like the other 3 or 4 mutants gets back and you're like, well, that's a bummer.
Yep. So week 13, Colts took on the Bills 42-20. Cowboys lost to the Chargers 31-28. This time, Coop 13-7 over the Dolphins, so Paulie lost one. Dump had a big game against the Falcons, 48-17, and I think that's where he started getting his confidence back.
Yep.
Very temporarily. Then we had the Texans 24-7 over the Patriots. Now this is the one that I don't really understand. We just talked about Matt and how he looks like he's pretty good, and I was worried about him. The Texans have 3 wins on the season and just blew him out. I don't understand it. It happens, so maybe that's all that was.
Yep. Yeah, it happens, and I've noticed that it happens maybe a little more often this Madden. I think this one, momentum can kind of stack up against you, and if things start going the wrong way, going south on you, it can start to hurt. So I was surprised to see that result, especially after he was coming off a good win against the Chargers, a loss to the Ravens, but obviously that's a very high-powered team. So it was definitely a surprising result there in Week 13 for him.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect that. Talking about games I didn't expect, here's one I did. The Giants 28-3 over Washington again. Don't know if Washington played, but it doesn't matter if he did. He was going to still lose that one.
Yeah, there's just about one thing we can always count on, it seems, this cycle.
And then this must have just been the week for like really weird games, because the next game is the Bengals. They ended up blowing out the Packers, who earlier in the year blew out Dump. So two extremely unlikely outcomes that the Packers were involved in this season. Then we had the Buccaneers. This time he doesn't give up all the points to the Saints, but he still scores 48. Meets, plays the Lions. Poor Lions guy sitting there with 2 wins. Gets beat 35-14. ZZ beats the Eagles 35-28. I beat Dan in a real shootout 6-3. That's
1910s football right there, folks.
Yeah. A lot of fun to watch. A lot of fun to watch, but I'm sure all the excitement was just too much to contain.
Sure.
And then the Jets beat the Steelers 31-0. KJ can't even get a win against the Jets. That's not going to do a lot for your confidence.
No, this is a season you pack it up. You look forward to your draft pick. It's what I'm doing every week in the NFL with Jacksonville. Sometimes that's just the way it's going to be. You try it again next year.
Yeah, hopefully this year he doesn't trade his first to Prime. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, highly advised against.
So week 14, which will be the last week that we go over the recaps for on this episode. The first game, 49ers Rams. I don't know how much you saw that, but it was a pretty good game. I thought Dump actually controlled the game for the most part, but just could not get anything to go his way, and the Rams walk away with a 19-17 win.
Yep.
Next game was the Browns and the Bengals. Browns pretty obviously win that game 35-24. It was everything you expected. Raiders beat the Chargers 31-15. The Vikings, you beat the Cowboys 31-29 in a game that was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
It was a lot closer than I thought it was too, because on the on the last possession, he scored a touchdown, and like I wasn't really thinking much of it, and then I looked at the score and I was like, wait, a 2-point conversion sends this to overtime. I was like, what am I doing? I guess I must have thought I was up by like 2 scores or something, but math was never my strongest subject, and that clearly showed there. But thankfully, lucky to escape with a win on the goal line stand. But definitely tighter than I kind of anticipated, considering I was playing.
Yep, but a win's a win, so that one works out for you.
Yeah.
Next game was the Dolphins Falcons. That was the one that was just forced wind for Paulie right before we advanced. Saints beat the Packers 20-10. I don't know what to make of the Saints. He's good one week, he's bad the next. Like I said, he wasn't that great last cycle, so I'm not sure what to expect out of the Saints.
Yeah, Saints very up and down team. Obviously, very good roster. Minshew at quarterback is going to be some of the up and downs. That 85 throw power, I think it is very difficult to use, especially if you're getting a good game tackling, coming down, hitting Kamara early, not letting him break a ton of tackles. So never really know what you're going to get week in and week out with that Saints roster.
Yeah. And then the Ravens 34-27 over KJ. Poor KJ again, just not enough to get a win. I played the Texans, beat them 34-7. Titans beat the Jets Titans lost to the Jets 35-38. The Bills shut out the Panthers. That was also, I believe, a forced win because it's Royce. Broncos he was not happy with his 3-point performance the previous week, and he put up 45 on ZZ and gave up nothing.
That game was a tough watch. ZZ got down early, and then you could tell he was just determined to throw his way out of it no matter what the cost was. And unfortunately, the cost was many interceptions.
Yeah, he didn't get out of it.
No.
Then the Buccaneers took on Washington. This was also a computer game, 30-3. Cardinals, poor Figs, again, continuing the fall, 52-7. I think Meats had 45 by like halftime. It was bad. Prime took on the Patriots 21-16, so it was a close game for Prime. It was also his superstar breakout game for his quarterback. He had 2 dev games in a row. Got the first one, couldn't get the second one.
Yeah, that's a scary thing right there. We're happy he didn't get the second one.
Yeah, I couldn't believe 2 in a row. I think I've got 2 all season, and it's not the same player.
I haven't even gotten one this season with this Vikings team yet. So
well, that's because most of them are applying for AARP next year, so it's not like they're going to have.
There's a couple guys. Really, it's just Shaheem Carter. NYT keeps roasting me in the group me because of him. But I mean, this guy, what more has he got to do? He's got like an interception per week, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, sacks. I mean, he's got everything except for breakout games. It's unbelievable.
How old is he?
He's 23.
Oh, he should probably get one.
I couldn't believe it.
I'm sure he'll get an end of year dev increase anyway.
Hopefully.
Last 2 games were the Giants and the Eagles. Rowan coming out firing 42-28 over the Eagles. And then the Seahawks beating up on the Lions 31-24. And that was it for weeks 11 to 14. So what we'll do next, we're going to go ahead and make our predictions for the next weeks 15, 16, and 17. And then we'll keep track, and hopefully maybe we can get like somebody from the league or something like that to be a guest picker on one of our next episodes.
Absolutely. Join the fun, boys.
So what I'm thinking is maybe we alternate, so you can't just keep copying my picks here. But
oh yeah, that works.
so we'll start with week 15, Giants taking on the Panthers. Who do you got?
So I have my boy Roe, the Cardiac Kids, in this one. I just feel like he always finds a way to win these kind of tight games, whether it be like some Hail Mary at the end, a big play. My games against Royce have had very little defense in them, which plays right into Rowan's strengths. As far as shootouts go, very few guys that you'd take over Rowan in that scenario. So I'm gonna go Giants in that one.
Yeah, so I said we were going to alternate, so you couldn't copy me in the first pick. I'm going to copy you. I'm going with Rowan as well. I just think, like you said, games with Royce generally become shootouts. He's going to go to McCaffrey, and Rowan's going to use Barkley, and the two of them are just going to go back and forth until the time runs out. So whoever makes
Yep.
the least number of mistakes is going to win, because probably neither of them is going to get a stop unless it's a stupid interception. But I'm going to give the edge to Rowan just because I'm going to bet more than likely it's a force win anyway. So, uh,
That would
we're
be
both
one way
going
to
with Rowan.
start head to head out on the right note here.
Yeah. All right. So I'll pick first this one. So we got the Chiefs taking on the Cowboys, and I think I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I like ZZ's offense. ZZ's playing fairly well. He's got, I think, the same record as Graham's, but I just think when it comes down to it, Graham's is going to be the better player. He's got a good offense. He's not as explosive as Tyreek Hill and Patrick Mahomes, but I think he's going to make less mistakes. And like you said, ZZ, if he gets down early, he's going to just do what ZZ do. And if it works out, it works out. More than likely, though, it's going to be a lot of interceptions and turnovers. So I'm going with Graham's in that one. Who do you got?
Huck it and chuck it, baby. Yeah, I'm gonna go Grams as well. The Chiefs are, a tall task to defend always. But I just had the benefit slash misfortune of playing Grams 3 times in a week, twice in Dan's league, once here. And he is definitely starting to really get the hang of the game, get the feel for it. His offense is getting cleaner with every game. So in a game where he can kind of control the clock, pound the ball, limit ZZ's time of possession, I think that he's going to come out on top in that one.
All right. So far for week 15, we both picked the same two teams. So let's go to week 16. First game is the Bengals and the Texans. Who do you have in this game?
Bengals and Texans. These are two interesting teams that I feel like it's very difficult to kind of figure out which one you're going to get each week. I think I'm going to lean Bengals in this one. I mean, he's 4-9 on the season, but he's had some big wins. I mean, he just beat in week 13 a 41-9 win over Mike. He did lose to the Raiders in week 12. See, I don't know what it is. I don't necessarily have something game style wise I think puts Cincy over the edge in this one, but I just think that I might trust that roster a little bit more, maybe a little bit more talent on it.
Okay. In an effort to not have the same picks again, I'm actually going to go with the Texans here. The Bengals have had some really good wins. The Texans, however, made the playoffs last season. So somewhere in there is a team that can win the games he's supposed to at the very least. And the Bengals, I think, are a game he's supposed to win. I think he's going to end up, it's going to be a close game, but I think Two-Step is going to just have too many turnovers. He seems to kind of, if he throws one, he throws seven. Like he will turn the ball over quite a bit. And I think this time the Texans come away with a win because of too many turnovers for Two-Step.
Yeah, right. That's fair.
So that's going to bring us to the next game. And this is going to be probably one of the better games of week 16, but the Cardinals and the Colts. So you got Meats, who's probably going to be a top seed, probably the 2 seed maybe in the NFC, and then Prime, who's barring a loss to Meats here, could end up being the number 1 seed in the AFC. So I'll pick first on this one, and I'm going to go with the Colts. I think Prime is playing really well right now. He's really good at taking away what you want to do on offense, and I think he's going to force Meats to throw the ball, and Meats really hasn't been throwing the ball very well. He's thrown a lot of interceptions this season, and I think that's going to be the difference. I think Prime's just going to take away what he wants to do, and Prime doesn't usually make a lot of mistakes, which the interceptions have been key to Meats being as good as he has been this season. So I'm going with the Colts.
Yeah, I am going to match you on this one. I'm going to go with the Colts as well. I think Prime has just started to really hit his stride. 11-2 on the season, I believe it is. Couple big wins back to back to back. He's started to hit breakout games. I just think that he's throwing the ball very well right now, and in a game where Meats is going to have to throw to keep up, I'm going to take Prime being one of, if not the best passer in the league.
All right. So once again, you copy me. No big deal. All right.
Well, these were all sent to you before we started, so I don't know how much we can say copying and all that, but hey.
All right. So next up is going to be the Rams and the 49ers. This game before the Meats game that just played, this was a little more intriguing, but I'll let you pick first on this one.
All right. Yeah, I mean, these teams are obviously coming off what was just, a pretty heated battle a week or two ago. Um, I'm going to go dump on the redemption game in this one. Um, like I think you said in the recap, I do feel that he kind of controlled that first game a little bit more. Had a couple of bad breaks, which, it's mad and it's always going to happen. How can you overcome that is going to, make the difference on your season and all that. But I think this one, he kind of stays a little more calm, settles in, and I think he gets the victory in week 16.
All right, so this is where we're gonna split again because I'm gonna take the Rams here, and the big reason I'm gonna take the Rams. So the Rams won the first matchup, but it was like I said earlier. I felt like Dump controlled most of the game. The Rams in week 15 have the Texans. Cam Akers has a breakout game. Cam Akers is gonna get that breakout game, and he's gonna be a superstar when he meets the 49ers in week 16, and I think RD is going to enjoy using all those abilities that he's going to have on Cam Akers, and I think he's going to run all over the 49ers despite...
That 49ers D-line is just so nice. Let me tell you, I got all the abilities in the world on Dalvin Cook, and I mean, I ended up putting up a decent chunk of yards, but it's not an easy task. It takes quite a bit.
Oh, it does, but I think RD is going to be able to do it with Akers.
Sure.
That's just how I see that game shaking out. I don't think Dump's completely in it. I don't know. I mean, he's multiple hurricanes, whatever, moving around all the time. So I don't know how much of his head's in it. And then just getting beat like he's been getting beat this season, I think his desire to play is slowly waning.
Sure.
So I'm going to go with the Rams in this one in a blowout. I don't think it's even going to be close.
Oh, wow, in a blowout. Holy. Yeah. Dump, chips on the shoulder, man.
Yeah, it's been there. It's been there.
Prove me right.
He's been talking like he hasn't been getting blown out, but that's at the end of the day, the score is not in the 49ers' favor very often.
Got to keep that confidence at all times,
That's right. All right, so week 17, and I'll pick first on this one. It's the Broncos and the Ravens. It's Dan against NYT. Everybody gives Dan a hard time about that loss to NYT last cycle. I'm going with the Broncos because I don't think he's going to let that happen again, because if he does, there's no way he's going to live it down. And so for that reason alone, I'm going to go with the Broncos. Not to mention he's got like one of the best offenses and defenses in the league, and I think he'll find a way to shut down that Ravens offense.
Yeah, Dan is a force. He's very good at kind of like that Bill Belichick thing where he can take away what you want to do most. So, if that's making Lamar one-dimensional, making him pass, feed right into Dan's game, he's starting to really click on defense. Even in a loss to you, to only give up 6 points is like near unheard of in this game.
Yep.
So, I got to go Dan as well, not to copy you, but
no, I mean, you just copy me every time. That's no big deal.
Well,
All right, so we're both going with Dan on that one. So your pick first this time. Last game that we're going to do is Dolphins and the Saints. Now, we both know Paulie's going to come into this saying he's lucky to keep it within 30 of the Saints or whatever, but Saints do have an outside chance of the playoffs, so they're not. It's not like they're a guaranteed loss. And Paulie has lost to Coop, and he's had a couple other close games, so this one could be close. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams capable of winning this game. I'm going to be picking Paulie. I think he's a little more sound defensively, and I think the Saints are just somewhat limited by Minshew. Maybe it's my experience of using him whenever I play with the Jags. I just have such a hard time getting offense together if it's not 1,000 checkdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Paulie's pretty sound on defense, so I think he's gonna make Saints kind of push the ball, and I trust Paulie to come out of a close one. I don't. I think if you're gonna make a spread, I feel like the line's got to be like 3 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Paulie on this one too. Paulie's defense is really good, and if all you're going to do is throw to Kamara and run Kamara, Paulie's going to take that away.
Yep.
And I haven't seen the Saints do enough outside of Kamara really to have me worried that Paulie's going to lose. Now, the only thing with Paulie is he does play a lot of close games, but the majority of the time he ends up on the winning side of those games for a reason. It's not luck. So I have the Dolphins winning too, but I do think, like you said, it's going to be a close game.
Yep.
All right, so next week we'll see how this shook out and how many of those ones where you copied me you got right and how many we split. It should be interesting to see, and like I said, we'll get somebody else on here to pick with us. Hopefully make it a little more interesting. But so with that, then I think all we have left to do is our power rankings. And
yes, sir.
We'll get right to that. So I guess we can start with each one of us will give. Do you want to start at the top or the bottom?
We can go bottom and up. So 7,
all
6.
Right. So we'll start from the bottom and up. So who do you have at number 7 in the AFC?
AFC, for me, 5, 6, and 7 was very difficult. I feel like it could be a lot of teams. I have Woods and the Browns. I looked, looking at his schedule, is all quality losses, and 3 of them were all in a row. So other than that, one little stretch there of losses, he's been, relatively successful otherwise. So right now I have him at that 7 spot. I think that's a team that can, come in, surprise somebody, win a playoff game, maybe knock off a top seed. So yeah, I got Browns at 7.
Yeah, for me, Woods, he just, every time I play him, it's a close game. Well, I say it's a close game. It's a tough game because a lot of times he's blown me out a couple of times. But for some reason, he struggles to make the playoffs. But to me, he's one of the top players in the SML.
Yeah.
All right, so my number 7, and this was before today, but I have Dump at number 7. He's got a decent record, but I haven't really seen him beat anyone good, really. I mean, he hasn't had that like big win. Till I see that, I have him at 7. I'd probably drop him below 7 after this loss this week. But for now, he's at 7. He does have a record that's probably going to get him in the playoffs. If he can at least win at least one of these next 2. He's probably going to have to win them both. But with the roster he's got, I have him at number 7 still.
Yeah, I keep waiting for that roster to really come in and start to like take over a game. They definitely have the potential. So we'll see.
All right, so AFC number 6, who do you have?
We've got Paulie and the Dolphins. Just talked about his defense. 3 out of 4, losses all to quality opponents. You would like to see him kind of pull out one of those, tougher games. He does have, good wins against you and Royce. I think the question at the end of the day with Paulie just comes down to offense. Does he have enough firepower to win in a game that, might not end up a defensive showdown? If he plays, an elite offense in the playoffs, can he keep up? I think that's the question there. So that's why I have him at 6.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. His offense definitely lags behind his defense. I would have probably had him a little higher on the list, but definitely that's a fair point that his offense could be holding him back. All right, so in the NFC at number 6, I have Royce. Now, it's not because the computer is actually really tough to beat, but when he gets Christian McCaffrey going, it's not like it's a surprise what's coming. Like, everyone knows it's going to McCaffrey. Just like with the Saints and it's going to Kamara. Royce is giving it to McCaffrey whenever he wants, and he's still winning enough games that he's going to make the playoffs. If he can get his defense turned around, I think he could make some noise. I think the defense is going to hold him back, though. Like you said, the same with the AFC, how that bottom 5 to 7 is could be flip-flopped anyway. I felt like the AFC, you had the top, and then you have a second tier that still falls within that playoff ranking of teams. And Royce, Dump, they're all in that kind of second tier. But I have him at number 6 if he plays.
Right. Yeah, I just played against Royce pretty recently over the last few weeks. And there was a couple plays where, you can bottle up McCaffrey and sometimes he'll just get a shed animation or he'll get a stiff arm or just wiggle out of something and he gains another 7-10. There was one of them, if I remember correctly, I had him bottled up like right at the line. He just kind of wiggled out of it and just took off and it was 6. So he's just one of those players that can just make things happen for you in a Madden game despite, good defense against them.
Yeah, kind of on a not an off topic, but kind of something I noticed doing these lists is having a stud running back makes a difference. Like You'll have guys like Nick Chubb, you have Dalvin Cook, even like Paulie with Breida, Royce with McCaffrey, Dump with Mostert, and then some of the guys at the top of this list too. Like that big running back, every so often they'll just have a game where they can't be stopped and they're putting up 200 yards a game. I hope to eventually get a running back like that, but that definitely seems to be the way to go. I mean, and maybe that's why a guy like Colt, who didn't really do that much last season, is on the verge of making the playoffs this year, just from having a great running back.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is something that they did very well with this year's game is they really made those elite running backs feel like elite running backs. I felt like in Madden 20, you could pretty much run the ball with just about whoever you wanted.
Yeah.
You could take some 60 off, the practice squad, and you could go out and just destroy people with them. Now it really feels like there's a difference between, the Henrys, the Chubbs, the McCaffreys. Those guys can really mess you up if they get going.
Absolutely. All right, so on that note, AFC 5th seed, who do you have?
AFC 5th seed, another team with a very good running back. Feel like they don't use them quite as much. I have Future and the Raiders. This is kind of a high-powered team. It's, very difficult, watching them play to account for Ruggs, but then also account for Jacobs. Darren Waller is in there, very good player. Some decent pieces on defense. He's got, 4 straight wins here. He lost 2 right before his bye week, but, rattled off 4 straight. One of them, big win over the Browns. It's a team that I feel might be better than their record. And I feel like they kind of leave me wanting like a little bit more. But I think the potential's there to really do some damage.
Yeah, I haven't played the Raiders yet. I've played the Chargers and the Broncos in that division, but I played Future quite a bit before the season started, and it's translated over to now with Ruggs. It's just almost, I don't want to say impossible to stop, but he is someone you have to devote specific attention to trying to stop, or he's just going to destroy you.
Yep.
He's so fast you can't keep up with him. Kind of like ZZ with Tyreek Hill, but I think Future's just a lot better at using that skill set that he has, and I think his record at 9-4 in that division is really good. And like you said, he's probably better than his record. So
right,
could be the return of Future after a down last season.
Yeah.
All right, so in the NFC at the 5 seed, I have Rowan. So I had Rowan jumping the Panthers and the 49ers based on record. I didn't think that their record being better than him was a real good indicator of how they were playing right now. Rowan has gotten hot after a pretty slow start, which he had a slow start last season too. I don't know why he likes to get behind and then come back, but he is like you said, the cardiac kids. I mean, he wins it with offense and he wins it late in the game a lot of times. But I think right now he's kind of hitting his stride with that Giants team. And if he can just turn that defense around to get one stop a game even, I think he's going to be dangerous come playoff time.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a team that I certainly would not want to see. Some guys just play very well with their backs against the wall. They get down and then, they just become near unstoppable. And he definitely seems to have that quality. So that's a scary thing to have when you're playing somebody.
Yep, and Saquon Barkley doesn't hurt either. So
he is unbelievable. That is.
Yep.
Yep.
All right, so who do you have at number 4 in the AFC?
Number 4, I have a team that has a very good record. I got NYT and the Ravens, 10-3, but I have them like just outside. I consider like the top 3 teams to be like the elite tier. I think NYT is just on the outside of that just because of the defensive struggles. He is giving up a ton of points. And with a team that has, Marlon Humphrey, a very good defensive line, I feel like that shouldn't be the case. But, it is a scary team playing against them just because they can do so much on offense that, if you start to press knowing that you have to be worried about stopping that offense and you make a, dumb turnover or, you walk into a fumble or something, it's a scary team, but I do need to see a little bit more on defense before I can have them join that, that top 3.
Yeah, I think like you said, that team is scary. You're talking Lamar Jackson. I think he's got like a 97 throw power, and he's got some receivers that can run. And it's not like it's that hard for them to just get open on streaks. this isn't the NFL. This is Madden, and which QB would say all the time, it's a video game. Well, it is a video game, and Marquise Brown is really good in a video game.
He sure is. He just runs past everybody. It's
Yep.
pretty unbelievable.
And then he's got J.K. Dobbins, and he uses J.K. Dobbins very well.
That guy falls forward for yards on every single carry. I have never seen anything like
Yeah.
Every time I tackled J.K. Dobbins, he got an extra 3 on me. It was crazy.
Yep. But I think NYT does suffer from the same thing I tend to suffer from, and that's a lack of consistency. Where you can go out, win one game against a team you probably shouldn't beat, and then lose to one that you should have never lost to.
Right.
So 4, I think, definitely is probably a good spot for NYT.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So in the NFC at number 4, I had RD in the Rams. Now, if he gets superstar with Cam Akers, this could change his rating. But right now, I have him at number 4. He's had some pretty good wins. It's just looking at this list of top 7 for each conference, and he's beat some teams that are going to be on these lists. And that's something you can't say for really most of the people from 4 down. They don't have too many wins on this list. I think RD plays he plays similar to Prime for me, where he's going to do, and it's kind of like a mix of Prime and Pauly, I think. He has what he's going to do, which is he's going to run Cam Akers, and he's got that ball control offense. And then he's just going to kind of hold you on defense. He plays really good defense, and he just plays his ball control offense. Prime airs it out a little more than that. That's why I kind of a mix of Prime and Pauly. But I think RD is going to be pretty good. And I think looking back at this episode, 4 might be a little too low for him come the end of the year. But right now I'm at number 4.
Yeah, I think I have him on my schedule over the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think you do.
So I think he's coming up, and that's definitely a game that really gonna have to focus in for and try and figure out this defense thing, especially now that Michael Pierce is hurt. So that's not going to help with stopping Super Akers, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it. It's definitely going to be a good game. He seems like he's very good competition. So
all right, so who do you have at number 3 in the AFC?
Number 3, I have yourself. You and the Jags. You've got some really quality wins. You beat Dan, and that's 6-3. Your defense is stellar, and I just feel like you are stabilizing a little bit after that little rocky quarterback patch. I think if we did this show like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, during the middle of that slide, maybe you're down a little bit, but it seems like you're starting to kind of figure out Josh Allen, starting to figure out what you can do, what he can do. And once you get that, obviously we've seen the ability in the past. We saw you beat Prime. You beat Prime 3 times last season, right?
3 last season and 1 this season. Yeah, 4 times in a row.
So, we know that the ability's there. We've seen it. Now that you can start to settle in with, a quarterback that is a little erratic but has very good stats. Once you get that starts to get very scary for other teams in the AFC.
Yeah, I think my problem, like I said, is it's consistency. So if I can find a way to not have those mental lapses and those trap games, I think maybe 3 is a good spot. But we'll see going forward. I don't have much to say about myself after I just got beat by the Texans or Titans. So
yeah, I might have to watch the stream on that. I didn't get to see it. I was dead asleep.
I want to watch it on mute, but. All right, so going to the NFC. At number 3, I have the Buccaneers and Dookie at number 3. Now, I'm sure Dookie's going to kick and scream about this, but he hasn't beaten anybody.
You just made his list.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm not worried about the Dookie dozen or whatever the list is. So he beat RD, but that was pretty early in the season. I don't think RD quite had figured out what he wanted to do with his team. Not to mention Cam Akers has probably gotten quite a bit better since then. I believe that was like week 2.
Right.
He hasn't beaten anybody, and he doesn't play great defense. He gets a lot of turnovers, but he gives up a ton of points. And if you run up against somebody like RD again, who plays good defense, if you can't put up those 40 points or whatever you've been doing, you might run into some trouble. And I think the next 2 people on the list ahead of him, and including RD, could be those people. I give him the nod over RD because he did beat him, and he is 13-0. But till he beats some good teams, and maybe he puts up 50 points on Pauly tonight or whenever they play, and then maybe that changes my mind. But for now, I have him at number 3.
Yeah, hey man, you got to rank the teams based on what they've done to this point. I didn't want to be speculative. I didn't even look at future schedules when I made the ranks. So, to this point forward, and the defense has been very feast or famine. It seems to be turnover or touchdown, and that is a risky way to play. So far, it's worked. I think he's still undefeated.
Yeah,
so far it's worked. But we'll see if that's sustainable over a full season.
Yeah, like I said, the defense and the schedule for me was what did it.
Yeah.
But, all right, so number 2 in the AFC. Now, obviously, this is going to be between Prime and Dan. So who do you have at number 2?
Number 2, I have the 16-time GOAT. And to me, it comes down really, he's hitting his stride. He's playing very well. He's passing very well. And this update could not have come at a better time for him. Now that we can get quarterback breakout games, he's already had 2. So, his current rookie, I think he's 21. So he's definitely well on pace to hit superstar, if not this season, next season. And that starts to get very scary. If you can start to throw on some dead eye abilities to that guy, there's kind of no telling what Prime can end up doing here. So I feel like he's 2 for now. And then with the development of that quarterback, we could see him back in the 1 spot again shortly.
Yeah, I'm definitely not excited about his quarterback developing because during that stretch where I won those 4 games against him, I think the quarterback play is what held him back enough that I was able to win. And that's very quickly disappearing. And then on top of that, he's adding guys like Shaquem Griffin on defense, and that guy just flies around everywhere. And it just, even if he's only got one hand and can't make a lot of interceptions, just the fact that he's around in the area, it's enough to throw you off. And hell, at the time, I'm not thinking dude's got one hand. So
no, not when he's covering all that ground.
Exactly. So his team is just getting scarier and scarier. He's got Jonathan Taylor, who's going to be superstar, probably at some point one of the best running backs in the league if he's not already.
Yep.
And then the speed in his receivers with Paris Campbell. If the quarterback turns into a superstar, this team's going to be really scary. Especially for a team that's got to play him twice a year.
Yep.
But all right, so in the NFC, number 2, I have Meats at number 2. Now he just dismantled Dump and made him look really bad, but I have him at number 2 mostly because of the interceptions. But that NFC West is a really tough division, and it looks like he may be right at the top of it. It's going to come down to him and RD, I think. But he's coming off a Super Bowl appearance last season, continuing with the wins this season. So I have him at number 2 in the NFC.
Absolutely. So then number 1 for me, obviously, is Dan. I think right now he is the best player in the league on both sides of the ball. Very consistent. You know what you're getting out of him. He only has 167 points against on the season, which is absolutely wild in a Madden where defense just seems to be a free-for-all. So he has absolutely figured it out. His team is scary. He also has a rookie quarterback that could potentially start developing here. I believe a very young running back as well, if I'm correct.
Yes, he's got I think a first-year guy and a second-year guy.
Yeah, that just seems to be the Dan special. I couldn't tell you the last draft I saw where Dan didn't draft a running back. So this is a scary team. He is obviously an incredible user. He knows the game inside and out. So right now, no question for me. Dan at number 1.
Yeah, easily the toughest game I played. Now that one I did come away 6-3, but there was nothing happening on offense, and I just happened to get 1 or 2 big plays on offense that got me in field goal range, and then just my defense ended up playing really well and able to force turnovers because there was nothing happening on offense. And so I think him at number 1, probably number 1 overall, would be where I would have him.
Yeah.
All right, so then the NFC, obviously, that's going to be Washington at number. Oh no, it's going to be the Vikings.
Oh, check the notes.
Yeah, the Vikings at number 1. just having played you and seen the games that you've played, you haven't had an easy schedule, and I think you're going to end up being the number one seed in the NFC. And so I have you as number one in the NFC.
Well, thanks, man. I appreciate it. We'll see. Definitely a lot of good competition, but I'll wear it with pride. I'll do you right.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the NFC playoffs. Just for those top four, I want to see them face each other, basically.
Yep.
But that's it. That's all we got for the show. We're actually just shy of an hour, so it's
wow.
yeah, it's 51 minutes. So it's
time flies when you're having fun,
Yeah. So I guess that's it for this week. Unless you got anything to add.
I don't. Thanks everybody for listening. I would assume we'll probably cut time down in the future as we're not giving kind of an explanation of what we're doing constantly. And, obviously we gave a lot of overviews on teams that we won't necessarily need to do week in and week out. But hey, it was a pleasure doing it with you, Bomber. Thank you, man.
Definitely enjoyed it. Look forward to where this goes in the future.
Absolutely.
All right.
Later.
Till next week. All right.
Nice work.
Let me get a heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check, heat check. Can I get a heat check, heat check, 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 heat 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 check. Let me get a heat check.